Hey, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Tragedy into Triumph. Of course, I'm Wendell Brown, founder of Tragedy into Triumph, where we believe Revelation 12:11 is what it says, that you and I, we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. I am so thrilled today to be joined by Pastor Gene Bosco. Pastor Gene, how are you today?
I'm doing great, sir. Good to see you again. Good to see you.
A few weeks ago, I got the opportunity to meet Pastor Gene. He's written a book. Tell us about the book that you wrote, Pastor. Just give us the title because I want people to be able to find it.
Yes, the book is called The Balm to Heal. The title comes from a biblical story where an old prophet was basically frustrated, praying, asking, is there not a balm to heal in Gilead? Basically to say, doesn't God has the power to heal us?
Yeah,
So the
that's
book
good.
is called The Balm to Heal.
That's good. And so he's got a lot of accomplishments in his life. You know, I'll even just throw this out there. He and I graduated from the same college, I learned. Although I bet if you looked at the student record, Pastor, yours was way better than mine. I'll just throw that out there.
That I don't know.
And you're married and have 4 children too, correct?
That is correct. Yes,
Yeah.
I have 1 daughter and 3 boys, yes.
What a blessed man you are.
Praise
Well,
God.
I know, like with so much of our theme of Tragedy into Triumph, the triumph comes after some hardships. And as a young kid who grew up in Rwanda, I would guess that a lot of our audience probably, it's tragic to say this, but there may be some that are younger that don't even know the history and what happened in your home country. And so walk us back to 1994. How old were you in 1994, Pastor?
I was about 15 and a half.
Okay.
So a little bit background about what happened in 1994 in the month of April. What happened there, which most of your listeners can find through history everywhere, books online. It's what it's recorded as the genocide against the Tutsi of 1994. Throughout history, there hasn't been that many genocides. Genocide means a targeting to kill a specific group of people, an ethnic, to cleanse them completely off of the earth. So that happened in Rwanda in 1994, and over 1 million people were killed. So while to that, back in 1950s, before that, Rwanda was led as under a monarchy. They had a king. Up to 1950, around there, there was a shifting of change from monarchy to a republic where they had to choose a president like that. That when that happened, king or whatever government structure they had at the time, when it was moved out of the power, killing started then. And then the king left, and a lot of people in under his government, and a few people, and a lot of people were afraid. They fled the country. So ever since there was a struggle between the fear of the people from outside, from inside, and versus outside, trying to kind of fight together. But in 1994, what happened? We had a president. His airplane was shot down, but it wasn't shot down just out of there was a war, an intensive war since 1990 that was going on. But in 1994, his airplane was shut down. The political atmosphere was very intense. It was every day something bad was happening. 1994, when his airplane was shut down, whatever we were afraid of for a long time, that's kind of when it was put in place. And then mass killing started, targeting, there was ethnic division, a group called the Tutsi, which the tribe I'm from, they were killed, they were targeted. And anybody who didn't agree with the government, because there was a lot of people, there was an opposition, large number of opposition who did not agree with the way the government was managing the country. So they were killed too, regardless of who they were, including even people from international communities who were there. Because the UN was there trying to mitigate peace between the force that's coming from outside and the government that's inside. But when the killing started after the airplane was shot down, the Rwandans, all of them from all kinds of ethnic groups were killed. Anybody who did not agree with the government were killed. The people from international community who tried to protect people were killed, including who was the prime minister at the time, Even he had bodyguards from Belgium. They were also killed. A lot of people from more different embassies were killed. It was just it's a horrible time, I would say.
Unbelievable. Now, you grew up in what town there?
I grew up actually in Central City. It's called Kigali. That's the
Central
capital
City.
city of Rwanda. That's why I grew up.
So all of a sudden, so a good portion of your life growing up, there was some unrest, right? I mean, if that war had been going on maybe since you were 10 or 11, kind of moving forward, right?
Yes, we didn't know up until I was about maybe 11. That's when I started to get a glimpse of what was going on. Before that, we didn't really know. Somehow our parents managed to keep the struggle of the country away from our understanding. But we started getting a glimpse of what was going on when every year in elementary school, they would do a census because they wanted to basically they were ruling the country using basically ethnic group divisions. What they say they divided basically colonialism divided the people in Rwanda in three groups. Some were the Batutsi, the Bahutu, and the other one the Batwa. So every year they'll do a census to count how many. That's just how the system they said they came up with. So when they did that, we wanted to know who are we because we didn't know. So our parents never wanted to tell us they're just you are Rwandans. There's no such thing as this or that. But in 1990, when the war started, when the force from outside, those who were refugees tried to come back, because the government didn't really want them to come back. The government said the country is small, you can stay outside. So they tried to negotiate. Originally, they thought the UN is probably doing something to help them come back in the country. That was the understanding. But after a while, they realized that maybe it's not happening. So they tried to come by force. And then that's when we start to realize actually there's something going on. So we kept asking, what are we? Why is there an issue here? But now, as I was growing up, now I started reading newspapers. It was on the radio. Even if you search the history of Rwanda, there was even a radio teaching that division, teaching one group to kill another group, basically inciting the violence. So I was now grown enough to hear the radio, to understand what's going on. So my parents didn't really have to explain. They never wanted to get into that. But now it was everywhere. It was like that, but we didn't know until, until I was, grown up a little bit.
Wow. So all of a sudden, I mean, really, within days, weeks, the president is shot down because the genocide lasted. Was it 4 months, 90 days? How long was it?
Yes, about 100 days. They said yes.
About 100 days.
Yes.
And all of a sudden, were you and your family, were you fleeing? Were you running? Walk us through. What did that look like for you?
So the morning the airplane shut down, our dad of the president shut down, our dad woke us up. He said, wake up, everybody, get dressed. Something horrible just happened. And the day we've been afraid of, it's right here. This is the day we will go, because we were going to be killed, because before that, we haven't been sleeping in our own home. So basically, we'll come from school, then we're at home. In the evening, we go sleep in different families, especially families we thought maybe they're not targeted. Our family we knew was targeted because of the political issues. Because my dad was not, a fan of the government. So he knew he was targeted. So at night, we'll go sleep to different places. Families we thought they were not targeted. But when the airplane shot down, I was like, this is it. This is what we've been waiting for. Get up, get dressed. So his strategy was, we're going to divide. Maybe some people will survive. Maybe some people will be killed. So that he divided us, told us everybody different places where we could go and hide. And that's why we got up. And that's what we did. And then the place we went to hide into an elementary school that was nearby. That's where I went with part of my dad and my siblings. And my mom stayed in the house of our neighbor. But, as the day went by, They found us there. My dad was killed. I ran back from that place. I managed to come back to our neighborhood where our mom was. And then I was hiding with my mom. And even then, they found us there. And then they took us. If you read my book, you realize they took us. There was so they sent the soldiers, the government soldiers. They came to find us because they received the tip from our neighbor that we haven't been killed. They knew our dad was killed, but we're still alive. Somehow they felt like we were a threat. Part of it was because I had a bigger brother who had joined the opposition army that was coming in the country. So from what I heard, that's the tip they gave the people, was like, hey, we still have a family here. Their son is joining the army that's coming, fighting against the government, and therefore they are traitors. That's what they told us, that's why we had to die. That's what they say, hey, your son, your brother is fighting against us. So they took us, they decided to kill us. And then there was this a septic tank where they're trying to build a toilet. They dug a hole of a septic tank of that toilet. So they told us we're not going to kill you right away. We're going to put in there for 7 days. If you're not dead by hunger, we're going to come and stone you and then kill you by stoning you. So they took 8 guys, they lifted the cement concrete, moved it on top of the septic tank. And then I don't know if I want to get into the details of how they got us in there. They did that, and then they put the cement concrete back on. But by the hand of God, we got out. I mean, you can see me now.
Unbelievable. Now, that
Yes.
was you and your mother that they put in the septic tank?
So not my mother. So that was me and my other 3 siblings.
Wow.
Yes, my mom was spared. You'll find it in my book. Basically, what happened with my mom, the soldier who was in charge of the group that came to pick us up, he saw my mom. This is very interesting. My mom had a Bible. She was a believer. So she always held it through her chest saying, this Bible is going to protect me. So when the soldier who's the commander saw her holding the Bible, somehow he got really angry. He's like, how can you hold the Bible and you are family is a traitor, your son is fighting against the government, and you can't hold the Bible because that's not right. And then she said, well, this I'm a Christian and this is protecting me. So he got angry because he said, I am a Christian too. He reached out in his side pocket of the soldier's uniform. He put a Bible out of there to prove that he was a Christian. He said, here's the Bible too. I am the one who's a Christian. You are not your supposed. So they got into that argument. Eventually, he was afraid to kill her. He had to send her away. Now, she was also pregnant at the time.
Wow.
Thank God she was able to give birth to a baby. My little sister, who was born through that horrible event, she's about 31 right now. Her name is Bibish. But so that's the commander sent my mom. I say, get out of here. But they got that argument between us, who was at the time I didn't care. I don't want anyway because I realized I feel like we were already dead anyhow. I didn't care. But so my mom was paired it that way. She ran away. We eventually got reconnected because we realized we figured out that we didn't die. After the army that was coming fighting against the government eventually was able to overthrow the government, and then brought everybody back who was in refugee camps or running around different places, and eventually we were able to rejoin. Then ourselves, we were in that septic tank. So how we got out. It was raining for about 3 days nonstop. We were inside, so it was dark. It felt like forever, but I think it was like maybe 2 days raining nonstop. But what happened with the rain, water was coming from outside because of nonstop rain coming into the septic tank. The water kept coming up to the level we were going to go above our height. When I realized that, me and my siblings, I told them that when my mom taught us how to pray. Originally, we were Catholics. Generally, Catholics will pray just normal prayers, Our Father who's in heaven, or the Mary, or Rosary, or that kind of thing. But she became born again, she changed how she prayed. And I told my siblings, hey, somehow I saw my mom praying as if God is someone you can talk to directly. The background in Catholic prayer wasn't like that. But after she was born again and water baptized, she started praying as if God is someone you can talk to directly. So when I realized that water from the rain is going up, and we're about to be drawn and go over our head, I told her, hey, we need to start praying, and we need to tell God to stop the rain. That's the only thing that came to my mind. And I didn't know how else to pray more than that. That's what we did. Say, it was me, my older brother, my younger brother, and my little sister. By this time, the water had gone over the height of my little brother. So we picked him up, and then if I get tired, I'll hand him over to my bigger brother. And then if he gets tired, he hand it over back to me. But as we're doing that, we realized the water was above his height, but it kept going. And then all of us, that's what's going to happen to us. We're going to die by drowning in water. So we started praying nonstop. God, please stop the rain. God, please stop the rain. We did that. I think maybe between 15 to 30 minutes. Eventually, the rain stopped outside, and then the water inside the septic tank started going down.
Go down.
So now, his first thing I learned right there, I learned God can hear prayers.
Wow. Wow.
I told somebody this testimony at some point. It said, did really God stop the rain because you prayed, or just to stop because it was supposed to stop? I said, hey, I was inside. I couldn't look outside. All I know is that we prayed, the rain
That's right.
stopped, and then something amazing happened because of that. Because it was raining for a long time, the dirt outside was soaked in water. So inside the septic tank, so I didn't share this part, but the way they got us into the septic tank, they hit us with like a baseball bat. But me, they didn't get to hit me with it. They did that to my brother. They didn't hit me with the baseball. What I did, I ran straight into the septic tank hole because I thought they were going to kill us. But when I realized they're not killing us, I decided to run in. When I ran in, they say that, hey, he's running away from us. They threw a car. There's something they had in their hand, a piece from a car junkyard. They threw it at me, and then when I went down with it. It hit me on the side. I couldn't breathe for a few minutes, but eventually, at least I was in a better shape than my sibling. That's why we used to get out. So because of the cement concrete of septic tank, they put that huge cement on top of a septic tank, but around the circle of the hole there were different bricks, and then under the bricks it was just a regular dirt that was wet. So I was able to dig that little hole that brought water in. I made it a little bit bigger. That's how we got out.
Americans have a big healthcare problem. Over 100 million citizens carry medical debt while spending on overpriced and complicated health insurance. As Christians, we don't have to pay for a broken system. Christian Healthcare Ministries is a faith-based alternative to health insurance at half the cost. Plus, you can enroll at any time. Stand up to insurance and join CHM today.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So and you said you were in there maybe 3 days or so?
Yes.
Yeah. What? And it was just you and your siblings in that septic tank. There weren't others in there?
Well, underneath us, they were using this to bury people. So when you realize that the genocide took about over 100 days, but as they were doing it, they learned that the international community is trying to pay attention. So when they realized that, they started burying people, but they couldn't bury everybody. There were so many killings.
So tragic.
So underneath us, we were stepping on top of body. They did tell us this, but they said you is different because your brother is a soldier. We're not going to kill you. We're gonna let you suffer by hunger. We're gonna come back after 7 days.
So Pastor, at 15, up to that point, obviously your mom was a believer. Was your dad a believer as well?
He was a Catholic. My
Exactly.
mom is the one who, they were both Christians, but I guess from different approach.
Sure.
We were a Christian family, but somehow I guess from a Catholic standpoint, we loved God, but not too much into it, I guess. But when my mom became born again, it became a different approach more than it was before. But my dad was a very well dedicated Catholic Christian, and even my mom was, except when she started being born again, be water baptized, kind of brought a different atmosphere that we didn't know, did not understand.
Wow.
But we were overall, we're both a Christian family, I would say.
And kind of the difference maybe between and I'm guessing here, maybe for you the difference of, and your mom maybe before teaching you that you could pray personally to Jesus, it's the transition between God being very distant and then God being very near and personal to us, right?
Yes, yes. When she became born again and water baptized, we started praying differently. Well,
Yeah.
before we would pray, we always prayed since I was little. Like my dad was a very disciplined, dedicated Christian
Hmm.
from a Catholic standpoint. So we
Sure.
would pray every night. But when my mom says she received Christ and born again and water baptized, now we started changing, praying, teaching us how to pray directly instead of through Mary or the rosary, a
Sure.
different approach, I guess. The religion teaches different way to approach God. I'll say everybody's trying to get there, but going directly made a little bit difference. As a believer now, I'm a pastor. I understand what the
Yep.
difference is now.
Yes.
But at
Yeah.
the time, I just saw, okay, so we can actually talk to God. That's how that started. Yeah.
It's amazing to me too. Did you have, would you say in that moment in the septic tank, that was the moment where you were just sure God was like, did you have a strong faith before, or was it, I don't know, I'm a teenager, I don't know, I'll figure this out, or at 15 were you already a believer, or was that your moment where you were like, God, if you're real, I'm praying to you. I saw my mom pray, I heard my mom pray, and so you even said to your siblings, right, we need to pray, this is our moment
Yes,
to
I mean
act.
we were a Christian family. We were brought up as Christian. That's what our parents and our dad instilled into us to believe that God exists. When the genocide happened, me personally, it shifted into doubting. Because I was like, I don't think God exists. Because if He does, I don't think He will allow such thing to happen. Especially my dad to die. Because to
Yeah,
me, that was
can't
like
imagine.
He taught us to love God, but He got. Because I didn't think God really existed. But when we were about to be drawn with the rain water coming in, I said, okay, well, if He really does exist, let's ask Him to stop.
Uh-huh.
Deep inside, if the water stops, then I'll know maybe He can hear us. I don't know. Maybe that was one way God used to visit me to reveal Himself to me that actually He does exist. After that, I can say I was a believer. The doubt stayed into me. Like maybe God doesn't exist because He allowed this to happen. I was like confusion. However, I knew one thing. He does hear whoever he is, how he is, whether it's the one my dad told me or not. I believe that God can hear prayers. I don't know if He can do anything else, but at least that much He knew He could do it. Because personally, I believe that the rain stopped because we prayed.
Sure it did. Sure it did.
Yeah.
I believe that right along with you. I'm certain of it.
So for me to come to faith, it was after I was about 21 years old. So I believe God could hear prayer. I even prayed after that for different things, for God to help me with exams and to protect me. At least I had that much faith. Not more about that. The didn't so I wasn't a believer who came to faith in terms of living in obedience to the word of God at the time. I more used God because okay, He can hear prayers. I'm gonna use Him to protect me every time I was afraid. I came to faith in terms of repentance, trying to now to live obeying the word of God when I was 21 after I finished high school.
After you finished high school. So
Yes.
you all get out of the septic tank.
Mhm.
You're running. What happened after the septic tank for you and your siblings?
So when we got outside of the septic tank, when they put us in, it was more like like a refugee camp for people who fled from another city near our hometown. There was a barracks, an army barracks there. So the soldier, they were coming in the country to overthrow the governor, whom they called in Hotanyo RPF. RPF army, which is the current leading army at the moment. When they to overcome an army barracks was nearby. So the soldiers from that army barracks and the civilians around were the ones who were exactly where we were. It was like a refugee camp for them. But when we got out, they had left that place because the fighting got intense. So as it was raining nonstop, the shooting also was going on. So they fled. When we got out, nobody was there.
Wow.
So it was like we were actually confused because we didn't know that happened except to hear guns inside. We didn't really know exactly what was going on, especially because it was raining. It was hard to discern the difference. But when we got out, we realized we were alone. So we didn't know actually what to do. What we decided was, first of all, the only thing that came to our mind first is that we need to find something to eat because you realize this is about 3 days of hunger.
Wow. I can't
So
imagine.
my little brother was starting to lose strength. So what we did is we need to find some kind of food first. So, but we didn't know which direction to go to because we didn't have anybody to tell us where everybody went. So we were like, what? We could hear shootings here and there, but we didn't know which. So we went back to our old house, but not specific to our home because our home was shut down. But we went to our neighbor's house where we were hiding before they took us. We couldn't find anybody. The whole entire neighborhood, nobody was there. But we knew we could find something to eat there. That's where we went. Now, when we got there, we found some things to eat, some leftover stuff. But then we saw on the other side of the mountain, the RPF army that was coming to fight against the government, some of their people were there. We saw them. Now, the government side, we didn't know where they were. We just imagined they were on the opposite side, but this is a hill. So we couldn't see the other side, but at least we could see the mountain in front of us that they were there. When we figured out something to eat, we got a little bit of strength. So we decided we're going to go to them. At least we knew they were not going to kill us because I was old enough to understand the politics from the radio, reading the newspaper. So we joined them. We slept there. Then we went to see them like around like 5 a.m. ish in the morning. So when we arrived where they were, they had a soldier right on the front line. When he saw us, he told us to identify ourselves. He almost shot us, but when he looked closer, he realized we were just kids. So we heard him say on the radio, hey, they're telling his commander, I see just some kids coming up. And then the commander said, let them go. They spoke in Swahili, mixed with Kinyarwanda, from what we could understand. So they took us in. My brother was bitten with the baseball hat with the nails in it, and my little brother as well. So they treated them medically first, gave us something to eat. We couldn't eat at the time for some reason. It's like we were not able to chew anything. After 3 days, it's very hard to eat at the time. So, but we were able to manage to drink. They cooked some soup from chicken soup. That's what we could manage. Anything else we couldn't eat at the time. It was very hard. Our teeth couldn't chew anything. But so after that, so my brother was a medical student. They kind of helped give him a task to go. After they treated him, he joined a refugee camp that was nearby. He started treating them. Me, physically, I was kind of okay. I kind of stayed behind to help a little bit, just tell them where we were. They didn't know the mapping of our area. That's kind of what helped them. Then the war was over, and then we found out that my mom was still alive, my sister, and then we got together eventually.
Unbelievable. So you finish it. Your family is kind of reunited. How many siblings did you lose, Pastor?
I didn't. I only lost my dad actually. So
only your dad.
Yes, surprise. My older brother was in the army.
And he survived. What a
He
blessing.
survived. He was shot. I think they shot his or finger or something like that. But physically, he was okay. We eventually, I know, it's amazing. So he was able to come and find, and he found us. And my mom was in a refugee area with there was this it was a hospital nearby where everybody gathered around after the so what happened with my mom when he left where we were. A lot of people were running away. They went to a stadium nearby where the United Nations Army was. So when she got there with a whole bunch of people, the United Nations asked them which side they want to go to because they realized that there was a cut between the government army and the RPF army. So the UN eventually had to flee to get out of Rwanda. I don't know how that happened, but we can figure out maybe what the reason behind. But they eventually said, we have to go. We can't protect you anymore because they were in a huge stadium with a whole lot of people protected by the UN. But on this side, there's the government, the army. On the other side, there's RPF. But the UN had to go. So before they left it, though, they asked them, which side you want to go to? So my mom decided to come to the side of the RPF, at least because she knew they won't kill her. So they put her, there was a hospital nearby where a lot of people camped. That's where she gave birth. And then so she gave birth there, and then that so she's there with our little sister. Me, my older brother, my younger brother, and my sister. We are now with the army, not on the front, but nearby where they are. My brother is helping. He was a medical student helping in the refugee camp. I'm with the soldiers, just a little kid, by helping with the mapping of area we are. And then my little brother and my sister, we had another older sister from like a cousin from my dad's big brother. Daughter survived. She was a little bit older. She found my little sister, my other older sister, and then she hosted them, and then she took them in. So in a refugee camp. And then so eventually, so we found where mom was. My dad had a friend who was a businessman. So who was driving around trying to find everybody. So he's kind of the one who put us all together. He had a car. He kept driving around every place trying to find who the people he knew. And then when he found my mom, he learned that my sister was also there with our cousin. And eventually he managed to just put them together around him. He was a friend of my dad. So he basically said, your dad was a friend of mine. He's dead, but he kind of helped us get together again.
Wow. What an amazing thing that your brothers and sisters were spared. What an amazing thing. So you have how many brothers and sisters? How many kids?
Well, total 7.
7. I was going to say 7, but I didn't. Like I said, you probably had better grades than me, so I was trying to make sure my math was right. That's amazing. That is amazing. So did you go back to your childhood home then and rebuild? As your family came back together, where did you go? What did you do?
From the refugee camp, I didn't go back really right away. But so we couldn't go to our house, but we went to our neighborhood. So our house was pretty much, they stored everything. They took away the doors, the windows. It was, we couldn't live there. But my mom found a house nearby. My older brother was still in the army at the time. He's a civilian now. He's retired. But he helped, he will come to visit. They find chairs and then so my mom was and my dad traditionally they owned a convenience store, so that's why my mom tried to rehabilitate that business because that's how they lived all their lives. So she found a house to live in, tried to revive the convenience store. And so me at the time, I stayed with the group that was helping mapping. One of the guys there kind of took me in. And he was in there, or he was a soldier, a commander. He kept fighting far away, but he left me in a house that he wanted his family to join when they came from outside of the country, from Uganda. And then also we had our uncle, who's a younger brother to my dad, who survived. My dad had about 5 siblings. All of them were killed. One of them survived. He's the one who, so he took me in. I was working with him at the time. His wife was coming to America. His wife came to America. And then when he got here, there's something they do. It's called a petitioning. She petitioned us through the embassy. So me and her husband, he adopted me, and then that's how I got here. My mom is still there in Rwanda, and my siblings.